Hi, everybody. It's Falcon922. Well, let's see. Familiar Zero, Episode 11. Saito leaves, and he's sent to his own world, and he leaves Louise forever. High School DxD. Riser, Grimmarie, she loses her chess match, and she has to be engaged to an asshole. And now we have the creme de la creme. Another episode 11. This one was called Makeup. Before I get into this review, I want to state one thing about Another. If this was a movie in the States, I know exactly what movie it would be. Final Destination. Final Destination that meets Stephen King. That to me is what this show is like. It is the compass, the full-on 100% of that. Alright, so let's move on. As we saw from last week, Misaki was just about to name the dead one. The one that needs to be killed in order for everyone else to live. So, moving right along, they get interrupted. Now, I wrote some names down because all of these people in this episode, they get interrupted by Teshagawa. He's the guy who was with them when they found the tape. And he tells Koichi and Misaki Hime that, oh, I did a horrible thing, dreadful thing. It was by accident, I didn't mean to do it. And he's like so blubbering over it and stuff. And then they're all shocked that he supposedly killed this guy. In the beginning, before the opening, you see the guy who tells them how to, you see the picture of the guy whose voice was on the tape of how to stop the calamity. Now, moving right along. A lot of scary faces in this episode. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Scary faces. A lot of scary faces. Okay, so this Teshagawa guy, he's basically telling him this, blah, 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 blah. So, what ends on happening is Koichi and Misaki are going to go with Teshagawa and try to see if they can find this guy, because he might not be dead. I mean, he fell from the 2-story building, but he might not be dead. So, moving right along. Before we get to that, there's a scene with Akizawa, the one at the head of the countermeasures. Okay, she's talking to her friend Takako. Gotta talk about her later. In this episode. Anyway, so about, Misaki and how she remembered her from elementary school and how she didn't have an eye patch on when she was in elementary school. That's what she was saying. Okay, so, moving right along, Koichi feels somebody, while they're downstairs looking for, he feels somebody grabbed his leg. And it was this guy, Majima, I believe his name is. But anyway, he got stabbed by somebody. And so, from there, he's like, oh, what happened, He says, oh, it was the manager. See later. The manager of the inn supposedly attacked him and so on and so forth. So, that's when Koichi decides to go and look in the dining room. The dining room is on fire. Holy shit. It was on fire. And the guy who was there, one of the owners of the inn, he got stabbed to death. He got these things coming out of his head. He got stabbed. And I'm like, oh, God. So that's what happened. And then Akizawa shows up out of nowhere, and he's explaining to her and forgive me, Teshagawa and Misaki of what happened. So moving right along, they decide to search for Koichi goes with Akizawa and Misaki to find others and see if they're okay, because obviously there's a killer on the loose. People killed. What ends on happening is Akizawa sees her room and realizes her friend Takako isn't there. And she's freaking out and everything, and like, oh, is she dead? She doesn't know. So moving right along, they're looking around, basically looking around for everybody, and the other two, Teshiagawa and Mochizuki, he's the other guy that's part of who found the tape. They're trying to they're trying to figure out where the teacher is. Miss Minami, I believe her name was. They go to her room. She's not there. Instead, they find the old lady for the inn, and she's standing there with a freaking hatchet, bloody hatchet. I'm like, no, what is wrong with these people? And that's what happened. And they're freaking out, and and he gets stabbed and everything. And then, meanwhile, Koichi and Misaki and Akizawa, they're coming out of that area, the hallway, and here comes her friend, Takako. Yeah, she's gone. Let me just put in words, more very physical words to say. She's gone. Like, she's on the warpath. Like, her mind is on vacation. That's pretty much what's going on with two people in this episode. Their minds are on vacation. So, she's saying, because she read the tape, she heard the tape, and she knows. And she's making assumptions, and then she decides to attack Misaki. And then, Koichi being the hero, kind of, he pushes her out of the way, and he's like, oh, she's angry, and she leaves. But she was psycho. Completely psychotic. So moving right along, Akizawa, the one who's in charge of the countermeasures, decides to follow her. Meanwhile, out of the blue, and also what's happening is you have the other two I told you about, Mizuki and Toshigawa. They're trying to run away from this woman who's got a hatchet, the manager. And, trying to think what happened. Takako went she found the room that you were able to send messages, the announcing room. So she's announcing on a loudspeaker. She's playing the tape. Oh my god, she's playing the tape. And then, she announces who the dead person is. To everybody, she announces it. Oh my god. It's like, beyond belief. She's like, it's like, give me a fucking break. But anyway, while that's going on, everybody shows out of the blue, and you got like weapons and shit, and it's like, oh, let's kill her. Then the teacher shows up, Miss Minami, and she says, no, you mustn't do this. You mustn't do it. She's telling them to stop. This is ridiculous. We don't want to die. We don't want to die. One guy, he kills the teacher. What a fucking idiot. So at that point, Koichi decides to take Misaki and get the fuck out of Dodge. Just get the hell out of there. And they're running, and then there's this one girl it was the girl who lost her brother. She's like, she's psycho too. And he pushes her out of the way, and he's running down. Oh, they're just running away from these people. They finally are able to get into a room, lock the doors, and get out the window. This girl busts down. She's like, psycho. And then, she slips, head first on the ground. Boom! Instant death. Huh? And everyone's dying left and right. And then the two people who were near the dining room, they're up in the dining room. Place explodes! Place explodes! And then there's a scene where Mizuki and Koichi, they're able to get into where do they get to? They get to a stairwell, and they're waiting there for things to cool down, to ease up. Totoko shows up again. She stabs Koichi, and she stomps on his fucking head. Like, what is your fucking problem, you hoe bag? So, and then she attempts to kill Misaki. And it's just a small corridor. Remember, and what happened was it's a stairwell. So the above part of the stairwell collapsed, and there's a lot of wires and shit, and she's dodging her attacks. The freaking wires grab Totoko's neck, and she chokes to death. And he's bleeding from the arm, Koichi. And she said something about, oh, I'm not going to kill you because Azumi's fond of you. I think she's referring to Akizawa. And then, after all that shit went down, Akizawa shows up, and she sees her, she's dead, her friend's dead. She sees that Misaki has the thing in her hand. She thought she killed her, so she's pissed off, angry, I'm gonna kill you. God. And then she's thinking, if only the dead one was killed, nobody would have had to die. And then she runs off as things are coming down from Koichi, and he says, Misaki! And then that's how it ends. Of all the shows, of all the reviews I've done for the fall 2011, and now, well, I'm not going to say it's obviously better than Guilty Crown. I'm not going to say it's better than Guilty Crown. But I am going to say this. Of all the shows for the winter, probably the best one is Another. For the winter. This show totally blew my mind. Just, my mind, your mind explodes. After you watch Another, it's like someone put a dynamite in your brain and they lit the fuse. Boom! That's what it felt like. This episode, 5 out of 5. No question. 5 out of 5. This was a crazy episode. Oh my god. The crazy. Yeah, like, you had 3 people who, you look at them and you're like, are you okay? And you thought to them, wait, these people aren't okay. They must be psychos. They're sociopaths. So that girl, let's see. Takako, sociopath. The manager, she's a sociopath. And the girl whose brother died, oh, she's a sociopath. But she died anyway. You trying to kill her? Oh, guess what? You're gonna flip, boom! They broke your neck. And she's like, it's like an archway. She's bent. So, good episode. Oh my god, I cannot wait for the final one. The final one tells me that what's probably going to happen is this. She's probably going to attempt to kill the dead one. I don't know how it's going to go down, though, because the whole fucking building is on fire, supposedly, so we'll have to see. But definitely a good show. Anyone who hasn't watched Another, you need to watch it. It is a crazy-ass show. Alright, Bankai 922, see you guys later. Oh, tomorrow, unboxing. Part 4 Fairy Tail. I'm ready to check it. See you guys later.